This is Thrive Pickleball. They're a unique company based out of Las Vegas, Nevada, that provides something no other company has done before: custom weighting. Now, I know that some of you may be thinking that other companies out there already provide this, like how Selkirk and Engage let you select weight ranges for their paddles. However, Thrive lets you select the actual swing weight of the paddle, which is an important measurement that quantifies how quick it is to swing a paddle, something you don't necessarily control when you're only selecting the static weight of the paddle. Now, they currently have two paddle options. First is the Threat, their 16mm option, which I selected at 120 for the swing weight, and you can see here on this card they provide for each of their paddles 5 different measurements: swing weight, twist weight, balance point, head heavy, and static weight. And similarly here, I also have the Rush, the 13mm model, which I selected at 119 swing weight, but also have these measurements listed. Thrive actually manually measures each single paddle they receive to provide these measurements for their customers. And in fact, paddles that don't meet a twist weight minimum are not put in the inventory to be sold to customers. For those of you who don't know, twist weight measures how much a paddle resists rotation when it impacts a ball. So how much resistance the paddle has to twisting in your hands on a shot. It's an important measurement in determining the paddle stability, and also has a correlation to the sweet spot of a paddle, since the higher the twist weight, the more stable the paddle feels on off-center shots, and this will in turn impart more energy to the ball on contact. Now let's look at the other values on the card. Static weight is just how heavy the paddle is. While this may sound like an important value, it's not as important as swing weight, as it doesn't actually determine how quick a paddle is to swing. There are other factors you need to consider, such as balance point and head heavy. Now these numbers are interesting to know, but by themselves they also aren't as important as swing weight and twist weight, and are mainly used to contribute to those latter two measurements. The second benefit is actually from manufacturing variances. Almost every brand out there has paddles that will come out from the factory with inconsistencies in the creation process. Oftentimes, two paddles will have different measurements from each other, which is why companies need to list things like the static weight in a range. Even if a company does list their swing weight measurements on their website for a paddle, it may not be the same for each paddle because of all these variances. So with the weight card you get from Thrive, you're able to actually know for sure what your measurements are. As for my recommendations on which swing weight to get, if you're unsure, go for the medium option, which is around 120 swing weight. Unless you know you want a heavier paddle, then go for the heavy options above 122, or if you want a quicker paddle that's more customizable, then go for the light options under 120. So being able to customize the paddles is already a nice touch, but how do the Thrive paddles actually play? Both the Threat and Rush have the same construction and dimensions minus the core thickness. They're both unibody Gen 2 thermoform paddles with edge foam in the perimeter and a Toray T700 carbon fiber surface. They're both elongated with 16.5 inches in length, 7.5 inches in width, and 5.5 inch handles. Honestly, they play similar to other elongated carbon fiber Gen 2 paddles on the market. I didn't notice anything too distinct about them. The power and pop felt expected of a Gen 2 paddle. The face wasn't too stiff like a V7 and reminded me more of a double black diamond, though I will say the spin was pretty top tier and one of the highest RPMs I've been able to generate. Overall, both the Threat and Rush are very solid options, and they each retail for $180, which puts them in line price-wise as some of the other Gen 2 paddles on the market. They're both easy to recommend at that price, but then you also have to consider that you're also able to select the swing weight at checkout. You get a card with all the measurements, and they include a paddle cover, an overgrip, and lead tape for even more customization. This makes the Thrive paddles a very easy recommendation if you're in the market for an elongated Gen 2 paddle. If you do want to pick one up, I've linked my discount code here and in the video description below that will get you 10% off your order from the Thrive website at checkout, which will drop the price down from $180 to $162.